How you doing, Robbie Bruce?
Oh, it's Christmas time.
It is Christmas time.
Time to get in the Christmas spirit.
I will soon be under the blanket of a white Christmas, I hope.
You have a much better chance of getting it where you're going than staying here in Nash.
Yep, I'll be up in Wisconsin, so anybody listening that wants to get together, let me know, and we'll hook up if you're in Beloit.
The metropolis of Beloit, Wisconsin.
Yeah, it is a sleeper town, I'm telling you.
I've driven through and never stopped, but yeah. But hey, there's a nice sign on your way into town. Home of Mike Tarrolly, co-founder of the Crushing Iron Triathlon podcast.
Your
mom calling?
That was actually my brother.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Maybe I should have answered and brought him on the cast for a second.
I don't think your brother would appreciate that.
He might not. I don't know.
So what did you? I know we're a little too old to sit on Santa's lap these days, but did you ask for anything for Christmas?
No, I sure didn't. I should have though. I keep forgetting about that kind of stuff. It just doesn't. Our Christmases get a little bit sparser as we all get older, which is how it rolls, and that's a good thing, I think.
And how they should be.
Yeah. I don't have really anything on my list other than a new tri-bike.
Oh, other than a new tri-bike. I don't really ask for much. I'm pretty minimalist. I just, keep things low key, but I figured, one thing was good, so yeah. I put a brand new truck on there. But whatever. Things tend to slim down when you get older, and you can't really ask for that many things, so you just lump them all in. Man, a tri-bike, huh?
Yeah. One day you're going to wake up and go out in your driveway. I'm going to have a big bow on a new truck for you.
Damn it, if you do, man, we will. We're best friends now, but you'd probably just lock that in for life. The life pass. So a new tri-bike, huh? You getting the itch for a new, as they say, a new quote unquote a new steed.
Yeah, a new steed, a new toy, a new.
A new toy.
Yeah. Well,
so do you feel like you really need one, or you just want one?
I don't know. I keep hearing that I need one, from a lot of people.
What's their reasoning from saying that you need a new one?
Well, they just feel like I'm not on the highest, on a bike performance level that I could be, and it might be impacting some of my efforts. And I don't know about that. I've never really bought into that because my philosophy on this whole thing has been if and when I get to a point where I am cycling so much and just out there crushing it and putting in the time and effort to get in good shape for cycling, and then I decide that, I think I can understand maybe how, whatever, components or stiffer crank or more aerodynamics or things like that will actually matter in my racing, then I deserve it. So,
okay. So it's kind of like the triathlete's equivalent of like the person who buys a pair of pants they can't fit into. Like a really, really nice pair of pants or a blouse or a dress or whatever, but their goal is to lose weight, and so that'll be their treat when they accomplish it. Is they get this new thing. That's kind of sounds like what you're doing with your Christmas present.
Well, maybe it would be in that case, but my point always has been that I'm not just going to go buy a bike because I think I need one. I want to prove to myself that I deserve it.
So what are the steps that need to be the boxes that need to be checked for Mike Tarrolly to earn his new tri-bike?
I really think that
because just for the record, I'd love to see on a new bike.
Yeah, so maybe you should tell me why you should want to see me.
Well, I just like to see it on one because I think the one you have is too small. But that's just from.
Oh, see, I haven't really heard that.
Yeah, just from an eyeball standpoint. But I know it'd be hard for you to give up your the first tri-bike with all the memories that thing has on it, and
it wouldn't be that hard.
And it wouldn't be that difficult.
No,
right, moving
not
on.
at all. I am not.
Moving on.
I would put that thing right into a trainer hole and leave it there.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. But no, for you, like for you to walk into, let's say you went over to Red Kite and saw Patrick, and you said, "Hey, I've earned it. Let's get a new ride." What would you have? What do you feel like you would have had to have done to do that?
I think I would have to have done a seriously consistent phase of cycling. Over, maybe even from now up through Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga, let's say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
So 6 months away.
Yeah, I think my point being is I would really like to see what I can do on this bike and get off that bike and really believe that, hey, I was trained up for this race. I rode good. I rode hard, and then it's like, all right. So now that you're at that point, Mike, I would say to myself,
what is that, third person?
Yeah, let's see if a stiffer crank matters. Like if little things like that can take me up a little notch.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure that a new bike matters, but I still feel like it's the.
Well, I can appreciate your position on it. Not position on the bike, but position. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Well, that. But most people do the opposite. They're like, I really just need to get excited about it again, so I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to walk in the gym January 1st, and I'm going to revitalize my life. I'm going to sign a 3-year contract. Thank you. And then 2 months later, you're like, hey, so how do I get out of this again? And then Jim's like, you can't. That fine print, it's like you just can't get out, so you're stuck. That's what we do this time of year. But you're doing it in reverse.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. It's very you, but you're not you don't like to buy stuff. No, you're more of an experience guy.
Yeah, I kind of hold off on shoes. I do that. My kits are still kind of just lingering around.
Yeah, I know they are. I just got those in.
Yeah.
I asked for a wallet.
Did you? Oh, you must have something to put in it.
Well, I got my wallet stolen when my car got broken into at the lab in like August.
Yeah, I was there.
And you came to the rescue, and I still haven't gotten one.
Oh.
So I've just been kind of doing the old rubber band thing, and so it turns out that I told Allie, I was like, yeah, I just really need a wallet. I just don't need anything, and I think my mom overheard me saying I didn't have a wallet, and so she got me 2 to pick from, and I guess they kind of chatted yesterday, and so it turns out that my mom, because there's nothing else to give me, got me 2 wallets to pick from, and Allie got me a wallet, so now I have 3 to choose from, and then the rest are going back. So that's what you get when you don't ask for much. It's like things tend to get competitive in the purchasing for present aspect. So I did, though, however, treat myself to when people think about bikes, and this will go off on like a little more of a technical gadget, I guess, conversation, but there's all these bikes out there that claim to save you like X amount of watts, and then this equates to X amount of time over certain distances, and so these people, like some of these new, like seriously, some of these new bikes cost like $6,000-$8,000. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
And hey, listen, if you can afford it, have at it. If you can afford it, it's no ding in your budget, and it's something that tickles your fancy, then you go get you one of those. But so for me, I ride a Cervelo P2, the newer frame. Got it last year, as you know, like a week or 2 before going into the Louisville thing, and the frame alone is about as good as you can get. The only real issue for that kind of bike is the front end, and so when you would look at the front end, it's just not very. It's got a lot of drag. It's got the base bar and the aero bars are kind of first of all the base bar. They're a profile design T4s, and while they're not terrible, like the front hood part is kind of tilted up, which takes the wind. And then really the biggest issue you see on most of these bikes, and the biggest difference you see in the watt savings and time savings is hiding the cables. Because you look at the front, you look at your bike from the front, and you think, oh, well, these cables don't matter. They're probably not taking that much time off your bike split, or I'm not losing that many watts or whatever. But if I just asked you, okay, well, I'm going to clean up your whole front end and take wires totally out of the way, and your whole front end looks totally clean, like these super bikes do, because they're all integrated. And I just said, but for kicks, we're just going to take these wires and just stand them up on top of your base bar, flapping in the wind. Would that be okay with you? And you'd be like, oh, hell no. Like, I'm not doing that. That's going to ruin – that's so much drag. It's like we forget that, like, whether it's below the base bar or above the base bar where you're riding, it still causes the same amount of drag. And so what I've actually done is, instead of we got our athletes have a pretty sweet deal with the bike shop that sponsors our team. Instead of going out and getting a new bike, I thought, I'm just going to try and do a little home project, a little bike reno, as we talked about on our previous podcasts, and try to turn my current bike into what would look like a super bike without spending $8,000.
You're doing that at home?
Gonna do it at home. I bought a new aero bar, base bar and aero bar, and a new front brake. And I am planning on everything that I've looked at and read and researched and how it should be put together. By the time I'm done spending, I spent like $900. So it's not pocket change, but it's not selling my bike and spending another $5,000. Because I'm not. It's basically I'm going to be able to turn my P2, which is a $2,800 to $3,200 bike, into, in my opinion, the same or even better front end and drag wise than the Cervelo P5, which is $8,500 is their retail price this year, just by making a few changes to the front end, getting the cables totally out of the way, and just kind of cleaning things up. It's not as fun, I don't think, as like buying a new bike, but I think, kind of going back to what you said about kind of earning it, like I've really been putting a lot of time in, since Louisville. I put a lot of time in before Louisville, and I really do like riding my bike, and I really do I love riding the trainer. I love the intensity. I love just kind of tuning things out. So this is kind of, and so instead of just being lazy and buying something when I clearly just don't need it, this is kind of, I guess more of it's like, this is my no stone left unturned kind of year. Mm-hmm. Like if I really want to pay attention and I really want to see how good I can get, and this, I don't think by any stretch of imagination this is going to make me into like some professional, but if I am looking at saving minutes, I am looking at paying attention to all the details, things like our conversation led to and that were brought up with Starkey. It's like there are all these little. It's like I'm not going to go count pebbles on the race course and like where I could save, or maybe I might this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, next thing you know, you'll be out checking the grade on the course.
It's like I'm going to get my. I'm going to take like a compass and a leveler out there and like, no, is this really a 4? No, what can I do at 4.2? But it really just goes down to like paying attention to everything more than just kind of going through the motions. And so I'm actually pretty excited about it. There's a slim chance it might actually appear on my doorstep today, but then it has to be installed. But I'm excited about it. I'll do some before and after pictures and what it looked like before, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it, actually.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. Now you got me thinking about my bike size, because
I shouldn't even have said anything.
Right when you said that, my back started hurting. It's like, damn it.
I'm gonna see you at the coffee shop tomorrow in one of those neck braces.
Yeah, I'll be like, I was on my trainer.
I rode my trainer last night too hard. I think my bike's too small. I've got a crick in my neck.
Yeah, right. Speaking of back stiffness, we ran. How you feeling? We did a 6-mile trail race on Sunday in drizzle in about 45 degree weather, low 40s.
It was low 40s, yeah.
Low 40s and a drizzle, and it was. It wasn't. The course was in good shape. I mean, it was raining, but it was a lot of leaf coverage, and but anyway, it was it was out of nowhere for me as far as like actually training on trails. I felt comfortable out there, but in the end, the hills got me a little bit. A day later or 2 days later, my calves are just fried.
Really?
Yeah, that's really about the main problem I have.
My core is the one that's feeling it the most.
Mm-hmm.
We did a 6-mile trail race out at Lock 4, which is in Gallatin, Tennessee. I wouldn't say it's a famous mountain bike course, but they used to hold some pretty big time mountain bike races there. It's a gorgeous place.
Mm-hmm.
Really kind of a hidden gem, to be honest with you, in terms of Nashville, and it's right there on the water. And the only bad part is it's like, and I was texting another one of my athletes, Summer, after the race. I didn't really tell anybody I was doing it, and I said, "Hey, I actually almost ran into the lake." 'Cause I was coming around. There were so many. Like I pulled back up and looked at my my map graph, and it looks like one big bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's because there's so many switchbacks and turns, and I was like, and I made this mistake. Like, that's the thing with trail running. Like, I love it, I really do. When I'm doing it, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me back to like. Not that what we do now isn't athletic, but it takes me back to like being like a real athlete. Because trail runners are insane athletes. Like they like the adjustments they make. Like it's like juking and jiving, and like it's just fun. It's entertaining. It's stimulating. It's awesome. I love it. But you cannot take your eyes off the ground.
No.
You cannot look back. I looked back. Because we're at like the 4 or 5 mile point. I was with this other guy, and having never run this course before, and honestly not being like, any kind of kinship to Magellan, I'm kind of navigationally challenged in the woods, and so I was like, you know what, that really doesn't make any sense for me to just kind of floor it, because I'm probably just gonna get lost and do 10, and I really only need to do 6. And I thought there was a guy still trailing us, and so I went to look back, and I mean like split second look back. And I turned around just in enough time to not go head first into the water.
Wow.
Out of one of those corners. And then for the rest of them, I was like, man, you just cannot take your eyes off it. But yeah, for me, the next day I felt okay. I swam yesterday, but I went on a run this morning. And I could just tell I was eaten up. My hamstrings are definitely a little bit more sore from some of the hills and different shoes, but I think it's just you're more on the balls of your feet,
Mm-hmm.
because you're always you're dunking and moving. There was roots and rocks and slippery things, and you're kind of to me, like, honestly, that course, and I think this is probably true for a lot of, I felt like I was skateboarding with no skateboard.
A lot of times, yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Because they'd go around, you have to take like a short ramp or a long ramp. Anyway, it was an absolute blast. But yeah, I woke up, I noticed it yesterday, and then this morning, because my hamstrings are definitely more tender, and then my core, like lower back, just from being it's probably just from absorbing so much of that pounding. You're literally jumping, over trees or from making a decision. Should I, pitter pat over these 2 stones, or should I just jump them?
Yeah.
And so I think that like impact definitely is one of the reasons I'm definitely more sore this morning, and my run was total crap. But it was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anybody to. I was kind of hesitant to do it just because, you always have at least I do have to stop back in my, like, training's going so well, I don't want to risk doing something stupid and getting hurt, because I knew when I went out there, I knew I wasn't maybe not going to go balls out, but I knew I was going to race it. I just knew it was. And I had a blast, and I have no regrets. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, me too. I have 2 stories that I think could be learning tools for the podcast. So one was about the guy who fell down in front of me, and the other one was about my first ever episode with GI issues. Which one should we tackle first?
Let's go with the GI.
Okay. It's not. All right. So,
hey, if you didn't want me to pick, then you shouldn't have given me the option.
I guess we already talked about it a little bit, but yeah, it's so I've never had the whole GI issue thing going on. I mean, I've had cramps before, and we talked about that before, right? You talk about cramps in the terms of your muscle's not used to that type of intensity, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what cramps are versus what most people think is other things, low potassium or whatever the case may be. But more
Right.
times than not, it's basically that you're going outside of your body's comfort zone.
Yeah, or its ability to withstand, like whatever it is. That's why it's like seizing. Like think of it as like a bridge. Like when you put too much load on a bridge, it's going to just start shaking because it doesn't have the structure to hold whatever you're doing. The same thing goes with muscles, ligaments, and tendons. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we know, I've never really had that problem, but about 2 miles into that run, for some reason, I had this really queasy, sort of like almost throw up kind of feeling going on, and I was. As we know, I've been about, I don't know, a week or so off coffee or whatever. But so we were talking about what I had eaten that morning, and my stomach actually felt probably better than it ever has for a race. I had a good bathroom session right before we went out, and everything felt awesome. And then 2 miles in is when I started getting that really like crampy, like I could potentially puke kind of thing going on. And so I immediately, because I was drinking that Goo Roctane, and I think I actually mixed some scratch in there, so it was a combination of stuff. And for whatever reason, that was not sitting well with me. So about, I don't know, after that 2 mile mark, I just started slowing down. It was all I could think about doing. And when I got my breath under control and just started running casually enough, a decent pace, but it went away. But every time I sipped on that drink, it started flaring back up again. So I basically didn't drink the last 3.5 miles because I was afraid. But so I held okay with it. But you had brought up a point about the Roctane in regards to my caffeine detox. Yeah, I think that's very possible. I don't know. I wasn't really like I felt like I did anything much different. I mean, I didn't like treat it like a triathlon breakfast morning, But
What did you have?
well, I had banana and an orange.
Okay. Banana and orange.
And probably a little bit of this green smoothie thing I had. But I mean, I was pretty.
Oh, dude, that's where you went wrong.
Yeah, that could have been it. Who knows? But like I said, I felt
you
amazing.
Got, like, nothing to hold it together. Like, listen, I've made a lot of mistakes in my training career, especially when it comes to pre-workout. There are a couple things I don't do before runs anymore. One is I don't have eggs in coffee. That's a big mistake. And I don't do smoothies in any kind before. Especially green ones, before any kind of athletic endeavor, because this is just me, but it absolutely wrecks me. Mm-hmm. And then I can always tell caffeine, especially if I start to get really, really warm. This is why I have to be really careful with my coffee intake in the summertime here in Tennessee, because it can get just scorching, even in the mornings. And if I have a little too much coffee, then it can just absolutely wreck my day. And so I kind of figured, did you know that the Goo Roctane had caffeine in it? I mean, it's got a pretty good kick for such a small dose.
Yeah.
And that's why it was my guess. But but no, I'm not sure that green smoothie may have.
Yeah, that might have been it too.
May have been it too. But hey, who knows?
I don't know. It was a mystery, but like I said, it didn't bother me when I was slowing down. So. I mean, and I wasn't going super slow, so I think it might have been a combination of just not being used to running those type of hills and or downhills and sloshing around and all that kind of stuff. Probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that
cutting and shaking.
Yeah.
All that stuff. I wasn't.
A lot of moving and shaking on that one.
Yeah, I've been running these flat trails here in Shelby, and they're just straightaways. It wasn't like I was really running trails, but it was just getting used to being off pavement. That was basically my prep. Not many hills, so probably like we said, a combination of all the above that didn't work it out. And okay, so I'm actually more excited about the second story.
Okay.
Because it really is interesting. I want to hear people's opinion on this because All right, I'm running. This is about mile 5 out of the 6 miles. Maybe 4.7 because I think we crossed the road at mile 5, so it was right before we crossed the road. And I'm running behind this guy, looks to be about my age, and maybe 30 yards behind him. And we go around a corner, and he just bites it, slips out, falls down, and literally by.
Was it on rocks and roots?
No,
or was it just like
no, it was
just went down.
Yeah, it wasn't a very like hairy downhill. It was just a flat, and he kind of was turning the corner. I think he slipped on some leaves and fell down. But literally, I was 30 yards behind him. By the time I got maybe 10 yards to him, I kind of went whoa, like that. And by the time I got within 10 yards of him, he was up and running again, and not only running but starting to run away from me pretty quickly. Ooh. So it was like. The last mile,
the race was on.
The race was on, and so I was, it kind of scared me at first. It was just sort of that reaction, like I was like, "Whoa, man," and but I didn't really get time to get up and help him or anything like that. So he was off and running, and he was pulling away from me for the last mile, and he dusted me by 30 seconds or something.
Wow.
But the point is. By the time I got done and I was standing around, we were having like a banana or something, and I walked up to him. I'm like, dude, man, you okay? He goes, it's funny you asked me that now.
Oh!
It's like,
oh! Mike Tarrolly, trail running snob.
I know it. I said, man, I was all ready I was slowing down to stop and help you, and I was going to say, hey, you're all right, but you ran away so quick, I figured you're all right. I mean, it wasn't like you were limping or anything. Wow. He goes, well, I don't know. And he was giving me this, and I said, hey, look, I'm sorry.
He's giving you the business.
Oh, he was like, I was really kind of shook up about it because I'm like, felt good, you're done with the race, and I was just, well, I didn't even have to go up to him, I guess, but I did.
You're such a prick.
I know. That's how I felt, and I'm sitting here justifying myself, and I'm like, dude, I hate the thought that you were running that last mile pissed off at me. He goes, well, I go, man, I really, honest to God, I would have helped with it. You look fine. Or, I would have said, that stuff happens, right? I mean, doesn't it? People fall and stuff, and you just can't, It's like that victim mentality. So anyway, I was kind of trying to weasel my way around it and like trying to basically beg forgiveness.
What for?
Well, I know, but I mean, I didn't want it to be in one of those exchanges, because he was kind of seeming dicky about it. So
you've gotten really sensitive in your age.
It's my age. I think but you got to just be aware. I didn't know if he I don't know.
Maybe
he's into that victim porn. That's what Ryan Holiday calls it.
I think I pissed the guy off too that I was running with.
Here's let me close this down.
Yeah, you close.
Because finally he goes, oh, he kind of just like shook his head and woke up. He goes, oh man, he goes, I'm sorry, dude. He goes, I don't know. I think I'm wrong. He goes, I don't know what I was thinking. He goes, thank you for coming up. And he goes, I think the adrenaline. I think it was just the adrenaline. I'm just amped up, and I was amped up, and the fall really, whatever. I was like, all right, man, that's fine. But I'm just saying. So in the end, he kind of like came back around, but it was really a weird experience.
It sounds like it. I mean, I feel like you would have at least asked him if he was okay.
I mean, if you'd been on the ground.
If you had had the time.
Yeah, I couldn't catch him to ask him.
No, I hear you, man.
And then I got to think, well, what if that would have been me? And I fell and I got up and I just started running. Yeah, you run with pain sometimes, or whatever. It's like, how am I supposed to think he's not okay when he's running away from me?
Exactly.
I
think that's pretty.
Hey, wait up! Are you okay?
Right.
Exactly. What am I
getting? Did you drop a contact? I mean, yeah, give me a break here. Yeah, my guy didn't appreciate my strategy either, but I think that was okay. I was okay with it. I mean, listen, I understand there's probably these rules and regulations, these unwritten things that live and die trail runners have. But listen, as I told you, I went down like wire to wire with this guy at the end, and I'm fairly confident that I beat him. But turns out on the results page, it has me 6th overall and not 5th by a second. But I'm not sure where they got that from. That's what you get when you don't have timing chips. You just got to go with a visual. So I'll take my 6th.
A little bit loose on that finish line.
Yeah, they're a little bit loose. But to be fair, if there was going to be a tiebreaker, I did have to give it to this guy because, I told you, or I think maybe it was CC. Like I got to a point at like mile 4 where I couldn't see anybody behind me, and I could see like no one in front of me and this other guy. And he kind of started chatting me, and which I'm not real big into in general when I'm running. But
I haven't been in a chat since AOL chat room,
especially during a race. And he asked me questions. Oh, so you trail run much? I was like, no, it's been like a long time. He's like, oh, you've been training for this much? I was like, yeah, I signed up this morning. But anyway, so I was like, I'm just going to kind of use you to kind of like pace me to the road, because I honestly, like, if I had passed him, I would have probably slowed us both down, because I would have been so hesitant at some of the turns trying to like navigate the flags on whether to turn or whether to not turn, whether to go straight. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna kind of run with him. And trail running is weird, like especially when it's single track, to where you can push the pace without being in the lead. So like at mile 3, there was a guy the guy was talking about that where I almost ran into the lake, where he was starting to kind of like see, I think, if he could catch us. Mm-hmm. Like if he really threw the hammer, could he catch us? And so what I started to do was I just ran a little bit closer to the guy in front of me, where he could hear my footsteps more, and he would speed up. And so you can kind of push the pace without being in the front. And so I did that a little bit, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just kind of hang back behind this guy, kind of like a sprint finish in cycling. And I'm not going to really try to pass him until we hit the road. Because, hey, that's where I'm experienced. And once I hit the road, I know I'm not going to like go off course. And so I'm following him, and then as soon as we get up to the road, I get up next to him, and I start speeding up, and he literally looks over at me, and he goes, oh, so now you're going to try and beat me?
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
I said, yeah. I said something else, but I said, yeah, it's a race. What are you supposed to do? Like, no offense, but dude, it's a race.
Yeah.
And if he really didn't want to race, he wouldn't have picked it up with me, because that last like 0.15 miles, my Garmin had me going like low 4s. We were booking it. But anyway, he was like, yeah, so now you're going to try and beat me?
Huh.
I'm like, yeah,
Isn't that a fine line between that trail racing and just the etiquette of things like that in general? But I mean, ultimately, it is a race.
It is a race. Sorry, and I like to push myself. And if I was, I was playing the cards I had. If I was a veteran Boy Scout with my, second year Weeblo and Bobcat patch, I probably would have just led the course.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the point where I was sort of just laying. I couldn't do much, but there was a guy on my heels for a long time, and he sounded like Jason from Friday the 13th. I mean, like that breathing, and I was like, dude. I mean, it just sounded like he was trying to put the hammer down or whatever. So I just kept like running on the right-hand side and slowing down a little, going up hills, and finally he just passed me. But I didn't really care because I was back, in the.
Yeah, well, why didn't he ask you when you slowed down? Because you were having tummy trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
God, the nerve! I swear.
I know it is this like that weird mixture of, you're in the top 10 racing it. I'm in the middle, and I'm still racing, but it's not quite as elaborate of a intensity. And and then everybody from the last half of the whole pack was that. I mean, I'm sure there's etiquette all over the place out there. Oh, you dropped a goo here.
Oh yeah, you say that. You do tell people, and they're like, if there's a branch, stuff like that, because they'll move the branch, and then you have to be prepared to like basically duck, because now the branch is like wobbling back and forth. And so you are supposed to do that, I know. And
at what point do we stop with the limb downs and the? I mean,
well, listen, millennials are the people who created this etiquette.
My God, I run in this, that group we run over here in East Nashville. Man, I can't do it anymore because everybody's screaming every 5 minutes about car up. It's dark out and there's a car coming. down the road, and they're screaming. Everybody's screaming back over their shoulder, car up, or I don't know, loose twig or like Snickers wrapper. Or
gravel down,
car back, car up, car. Like the whole thing is this, and I'm like, Jesus.
How do you feel how do you feel about
There's
on
200
your left?
people running, huh? On your left. Oh yeah, you know how I feel about on your left.
I know very much how you feel about on your left.
I think
I get it.
Look,
there's a whole lot of safety going on, and I get it. Safety is important, but like when you go, for me, like when I go out to do runs, and this is usually like a point of contention with Allie and I, because she wants me to be like geared down with like reflective gear to see me from space, and with like my road ID app turned on in case like I stop, which is fair.
Mm-hmm.
But like I run so I can like disconnect and not deal with anything,
right?
Or talk, and I get like on your left or car. I'm like, I get those things. You need to be safe. You don't want to lose your life. I get it. There are tons of people out there who don't pay attention, but there is a point to like you need to get out of yourself, and if you always have to be like quote unquote like alert that something dangerous and evil is going to happen every 2 seconds, and it really just kind of takes the fun out of it. Mm-hmm. And I got to have some fun in my run. I can't do like the where it's like you said, like gravel down, car back, car up, like that was old when it was done in Wayne's World, when they were playing hockey out in the street. And if you're too young to have ever seen Wayne's World, you should watch it.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I agree. The hard part for me especially is on the Greenway, because I look, on your left is a key part of this whole thing, and it should be used. Like passing bikes, but like here's the problem I have with the people that do that. They are too loud with their on your lefts, and B, they're going too fast on a bike when they were
on your left.
Yeah, last minute. Like I'm just like you're saying, in that like tranquil world of like running and meditation and just feeling that great vibe and just cruising right down the right side of the Greenway, plenty of room on the left, and some biker comes by an arrow, going 20 miles an hour on the Greenway and screams on your left right when they get to me, and those kind of things.
But there's a fine line.
Bananas.
There's a fine line, because I've had, like, back when I used to live in Kansas City, I'd run on the Tomahawk Greenway, and there would sometimes be like there was this group of, you could tell they're road cyclists trying to be hip by riding fat bikes in a group, and they would hit the trails like this, the same width as like a regular Greenway. They would hit the trails, the Greenway, on these fat bikes in the colder months in like a group, and they would come flying by you, and they wouldn't even say a word. Mm-hmm. Which that pisses me off. But I had the same kind of interaction this morning. Like you can run from my house to the trailhead is just over 2 miles from my house, and so I ran down there, and but anyway, it was super foggy this morning. I don't know if it was foggy over in East Nashville, but it was super foggy, and I left the house around 6:20 and got to the Greenway, and I knew that there was one car parked, so I knew that I'm probably gonna come across one person. And there's this like moment of like, this person probably is gonna think they're gonna be out here all alone. And it's like, do I say something? But are they in like their like peaceful place to where like they expect somebody to be on the trail because it's a public trail?
Yeah.
So do I say something or do I not say something? Because I chose not to. And he was like, hey man, good morning. And I was like, hey, good morning. And then it was real funny because I literally turned around after just like not even a half mile on the trail on the Greenway to come back to head towards home to do some hills. And so I think he thought I had just parked at the Greenway, and did like a half mile and turned around because I passed him at like probably 0.1 or 0.2 on the trail, then I turned around at 0.5 and come back and goes, oh man, short workout today, huh?
Oh no!
I was like, yeah, and I just thought it was funny, but
yeah,
I mean, it's
you didn't stop and explain everything.
I was like, no, I should have stopped, but listen.
No, actually, I'm training for an Ironman.
I'm gonna reset. Yeah, do you know what that is? Do you know what that Ironman is? Let me tell you about it. If you have time, let me walk with you.
Yeah, this is a recovery.
But again, it's like, hey, it's a public place. You should expect to see people, and if you don't, then well, God bless you. Like you picked the perfect time of day to not. But yeah, it's like that's and you know what? I think that's probably a great topic for today since we've already covered it. Because we're all going to need to freshen up all things etiquette and become much more patient here in the next couple of weeks. Because if you run, do weights, take a spin class, or hit the pool over the next 30 days, you're about to meet millions of strangers who are going to be and I honestly think this is like really difficult for a lot of people because they have these like specific times they go to the pool where they know not many people are going to be there. And then they walk in, they're like, what the hell? There's like 9 people here. Yeah. And that's my lane. That's like, you got my lane. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, I noticed it yesterday.
People do that, by the way.
Oh, I've heard stories. And I can't even imagine what I would say if it was the wrong day. But I had this kind of thing happen yesterday. I went to the Y right before I picked up Hayden. It's usually like a ghost town. I mean, you go swim at 1:30 and you expect it to kind of be a ghost town. Like, right. And I walk in, of course, schools are out. Mm-hmm. So you get all these parents who are like, what the hell am I going to do with my kids? They're actually at home with me. Let's take them to the indoor pool. And I go in, and it's literally like overflowing. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I'm looking for like a nice, like, Zen focused swim session. Now I've got to battle it out with, noodles and dive sticks and kickboards and the guy who's using the whole swim lane for his aqua jogging. And anyway, I got it done. But that's how it's going to be for the next, say late January, to where everybody gives up on the New Year's resolutions. But you're going to encounter all kinds of different species and walks of life. You're going to encounter, the guy at the gym who didn't get the memo that they actually have water fountains and you don't need to carry your jug of water. It's just a lot of new people you're going to see that you're going to have to really increase your patience and etiquette. And on the flip side, also find it within yourself to be welcoming and encouraging, because there are probably a lot of those people who would like to make it past January in their goals. Mm-hmm. And we've definitely all been there at some point. Starting anything new is terrifying. Having worked in the fitness industry for a long time and working with gyms, without question, people will tell you the most intimidating thing about working out is walking into the gym for the first time. Without doubt. It's immediately number one, and then not knowing what they're doing. So besides raising your patience level and understanding that the world doesn't revolve around us all the time, lend a hand, be nice, try to be patient, to the ones that kind of look like they're, a deer in the headlights, trying to figure out how to use the treadmill or how to turn it off, or get in the pool and don't know things. Don't act like, act like you remember what it was like to be there for the first time too, and encourage them, and hopefully you do see them back and they just don't disappear. Because I do think honestly that a lot of people quit what they do because they keep having to do it alone and they feel intimidated, and nobody really kind of takes them under their wing or finds them being supportive of each other. So try and do a little bit of that this Christmas season.
Mm-hmm. I think in general though, it seems to me like a lot of people these days just don't open themselves up for any kind of help or something. I mean, that's just my general philosophy. Maybe it's just because I went to the post office yesterday, but
look, you don't want to even talk about me in the post office shipping out. Shit, I didn't tell you this. Wait, you tell me about your bad post office experience first.
Well, I mean, I went over the
They're all usually bad, but
ship a box, and my thought was, okay, I'm in a line with 20 people, going to one guy working. It was unbelievable.
Is this the one by NRC?
No, I wish I would have went to that one. I forgot about it.
That one.
I went to the one over here in Inglewood, but I'm staring at this line going, is this real right now? And there's a woman who I later figured out actually was kind of helping because she was taking pre-stamped stuff through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the poor guy was out there dealing with everybody. And then I saw, okay, they've got these self-checkout kind of, what are they called?
Like a kiosk.
Kiosk, yeah. And but they are so complicated. Not complicated, but there's 20 steps to do this. And I'm like, oh, God. So I got in that line, and I'm like, okay, I'm only 3 deep in this line. This should be pretty quick. I didn't notice the girl ahead of me had a bag, shopping cart bag, and it had like 10 packages in it. I'm like, oh, no. So I'm in there, and I'm waiting. And then I asked the woman in line, because there's no pens around or anything like that. I said, can I borrow your pen? And she gave me the hardest time about borrowing a pen. And I'm like, no wonder. I think the post office is on. I think they're really making a comeback. And they're really going to give UPS a problem because they are so service-oriented. It was just brutal. Anyway, I finally got it done. And
well, that's good. It's hilarious that was your story because I am a man among boys when it comes to the postal office kiosk.
Oh, you own it?
I own it. So you want to talk about the lady with the box or the bag with like 10 different bags?
Mm-hmm.
Well, last week I went to the Green Hills kiosk to ship out our shirts and hats and visors. I walked in there with a box of close to 70.
Oh boy.
I took over the kiosk, and for after you do like 5 or 6, you just know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I could ship out like literally a package in less than a minute and have it stamped and put in the little drop box or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, but there's 2. And so I didn't feel that bad. I manned the one that was closest to the drop box, and I'm like, bam, I'm getting these people's shirts and visors and gear up at like Santa Claus. Bam, bam, bam. Well, then the one next to me, the card reader breaks.
Oh, there's 2 though. Yeah,
there's 2. So I didn't feel I wouldn't have done it if there was. I would have, because I was like, hey, I'm here first. Sorry, it's you snooze, you lose. But there was 2.
Yeah, see, that's what I kept thinking is why is there only one of these things?
Real busy. Green Hills Post Office super busy. But anyway, so the card reader breaks. And this guy looks over at me, and he says,
"Oh, it's the old grocery store line thing."
He says,
only got one pie.
Exactly.
I only got one.
He goes, oh man, I've only got one. You got all those? And I for a split second, I'm thinking, oh my god, like I should just totally just let this guy in. He's just got one. And I thought about it, looked over to him, and I said, sorry, man, I got a lot of stuff to get out today.
Oh, he stood strong.
Stood strong. I mean, it's my, and then as the line went 10 deep behind me, you could hear the
oh man
in the background as I'm like churning out like package after package. I mean, I have to think like at some point they had to have been like impressed with the ability and speed I was able to get these things like using the kiosk. But oh yeah, I stood strong. Listen, man, I got hats and visors I promised these people they'd get before Christmas, and I'm getting them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some ways it's more uncomfortable being you there.
Oh, it was for sure, especially once I shut down Mr. One Package. As the line, I could kind of see when I would put the piece of gear in like the little drop box. I could just kind of see in the corner of my eye, like the line like building up, and I could feel like they're them like breathing down my necks.
Yeah,
and I could just
trail running.
Exactly. And I could just picture myself in like some like violent Seinfeld episode.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but my point of the whole thing was
staying strong. Strong.
While I'm waiting in this ridiculous line, looking around at people, and people are just not willing to. They don't want to talk. They don't want to.
Nobody makes eye contact.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So that's what I was getting to with the whole. Sometimes I want to. Like sometimes I'll be in a pool and somebody will be standing there waiting for a lane, and I'll always share, and I'll kind of stop and look up and wait for them to look over, and they just won't even like acknowledge. I mean, it's like I don't know, like maybe they don't want to share or whatever, but
I think a lot of people are scared to ask because
that's what I'm trying to ask them.
They've had really bad experiences. Asking
it's my lane.
Because people can be complete and utter jerks in the swimming pool. I mean, you would think when you ask to share a lane, you're asking if they would like split their kidneys with somebody else. It's that impossible. And of course, then you figure out they're a triathlete, and you're like, really, you can't share a lane, but you want to do a mass start with 2,000 people? Yeah, good luck with that. But no, I mean, what I usually do, because I hate it when people won't share. Like, you can tell they know you're there, and so they do their continuous swim.
Yeah, right.
To like avoid you, or you've got the listen, ask. But what I usually do is I just put all my stuff to one side, because I swim up against the lane rope anyway, because like I said before in a previous cast, like I'll just breathe and face one side of the pool. Like I'll breathe right going down one end, I'll breathe left coming back down. So I just hug the lane line. That way, like, people won't feel bad. You should always be welcome and open your lane. You should never circle swim unless it's absolutely necessary. And then don't ever hop in a lane and just start swimming. That's the most angriest I've ever been, is when I was like, I think I was doing like 50s hard.
Oh.
And I literally ran into some guy who just hopped in on the other end, which is also bad pool etiquette.
Oh yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, listen, everybody gets in on one side, and especially if there's a guy swimming who you can clearly see all of his stuff is on one end where he stops on his intervals. Don't just hop in on the other side and start swimming and expect him to look up and not plow you like a steamboat. So you should always be wary of that. And listen, I got nothing against aqua jogging. It's all good. People do it. I've done it before, but you don't deserve your own lane. Just going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Lap swimming, not aqua jogging.
Yeah.
Just a couple things to think about as we hop into the pool season.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Seriously, I mean, come on, like, hey, but don't ever circle swim ever, unless it's like you absolutely have to, or you're with somebody like, very cool. And then listen, also explain to people, because I remember like the first time I swam with this one YMCA that I'm back to now over at Concord Road. Like I like swimming there because it's usually just a bunch of old people, so I'm the youngest person there, and it always makes me feel fast. But when you put on swim paddles, you would think that to them, you're now like swimming like Edward Scissorhands. They're like terrified that you're going to hit them and like rip. And I get it. Older people have, frail and more like they can cut easily. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But they literally act like you're going to now like slice and dice them up like a DiGiorno's pizza with your swim paddles.
Mm-hmm.
They are not weapons. They are tools for strength. So what else should we be aware of?
I don't know. I told you about that time I threw my pull buoy right to the end of the lane. Did I? I can't remember if I talked about that on the podcast.
I don't think you did.
Well, I was in one of those situations. I was at the East Nashville Y, and they only have 2 lanes. And I was just in. This is where I kind of can get it every once in a while, and it's a rare once in a while. But I'll get in a groove where I won't notice somebody up there. Especially if they're not standing close by or whatever. I'll just be hitting the lane and just going back if I'm in a big set where I'm hammered. So I was just doing that, and I'm always willing to. And all of a sudden, the lifeguard just started whistle blowing, like get out of the pool kind of whistle blow, just continuously. Mm-hmm. And I stopped, and in the middle, and the guy goes, "You need to share a lane with this guy." I go, "All right, come on in," no big deal. And then, so I'm going back and forth. Maybe 2 laps later, I hear the whistle just flying again, and I didn't even have a chance to stop. And the lifeguard had ejected himself out of the chair and landed on my legs. And they had run one of those, because they did one of those fake rescues.
They did one of the fake dummy drills.
Yeah, they threw a dummy over in the far corner of the pool, and the lifeguard, without even looking, just jumped and landed on the back. I mean, it didn't hurt me, but it was just sort of this like, what in the heck is going on here today?
It's outstanding stuff.
And so I stopped, and I'm just standing there in the pool, and they're rushing over the corner and everything. I'm just standing there, and I just said, fuck it. And I just fired that pull buoy out, and I said, I'm done. It was really not a good exercise. So. calm and collected.
Yeah,
but,
that's it takes a lot.
So
it takes a lot of
patient.
patience to swim this time of year.
Yeah, be patient with guys throwing pull buoys. Those things fly pretty good.
You have to, well, yeah. You gotta know what you're doing in order to throw a pull buoy with any accuracy.
Oh man, I drained it. I threw it right at that guy. No, I didn't throw it at anybody. It was just I threw it up way high against the wall. It was a launch, man. And I felt really stupid after doing that, by the way.
Well, hey,
but, you know,
we all have bad days. So
that's why I needed this podcast, to calm down and be patient.
Yeah, and then you'll think of these stories when and maybe you'll write us in with some of your own. These are kind of stories I always forget just in the day to day, but when you put them all together, are quite humorous.
Yeah. No,
they really kind of lighten the mood. I'm trying to think of any other kind of funny, enjoying whimes. Yeah, the East Nashville pool in general is pretty poor. Yeah. I don't think I have any more. I've had mostly good experiences, but yeah, it's always it's always the losses always stick out more than the wins, and it's always the bad experiences. A lot of times will, stick out more. So
yeah. Well,
it's a good time of year. It's great people watching. So sit back, relax, enjoy, be welcoming and patient with those that are deserving, and the other ones just screw them. There's going to be some that are like that. I'm just saying, you need to be welcoming to the ones that want to be welcomed. And a lot of people, like you said, people just hate eye contact. Nothing wrong with staring at somebody until they look up either. Sometimes I'll do that at the pool too. I'll just look over and stare at and see how long that somebody will stare back and then turn away.
Yeah, they look at you and smile and then push off the wall.
Yeah, and always be wary of the guy that asks to swim with you.
Why?
Do you remember this story?
Which one? Mine or yours?
No, this is a story. I was at the downtown. So I'm at the downtown Y here in Nashville. It's probably one of the best pools in Nashville. 7 or 8 lanes, and I got a lane to myself, and there's another guy in the lane, and I'm clearly a little bit faster than this gentleman. And I'm doing, I think, longer sets, 400, 500, or 600s, and I'm doing them, and I take a stop, and I take my interval rest, and I notice that this guy has been literally standing there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I get done on my interval rest, and he looks over at me and goes, "Hey, man, can I swim with you?"
He's in your lane?
No, he's in the other lane.
Oh.
He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Can we swim together?" I was like, I don't know what you mean, swim together. He was like, "Can I start when you start, and we just swim together?"
Oh.
You remember this now, don't you? I was like, I don't really know what this means. I kind of feel uncomfortable, but sure. And so I started off, and literally I think I had lapped him after the first 150.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I decided to be that guy, and I was like, "Listen, I'm just gonna keep swimming." I think I swam I swam 2,000 straight and never saw him again. But I don't know. What do you mean swim together? I don't know what that means. Yeah, can we swim together? Sure. It's not like video games. But yeah, great time of year, good people watching. All that kind of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got for today.
All right. Come on in. If you haven't...
No more stories.
No more stories. There's plenty more. But I think we need to...
Yeah, I know. We got a whole year.
Like the time there's 3 of us swimming out at the lake. It's a 900-yard loop. And just 3 random people, and I swam head-on into a guy. It's almost impossible, dude.
Well, when they're going the wrong way. That's always the wrong way.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue at the lab. And anyway, we're going to wrap this up with invitation to our closed Facebook group. Search Crushing Iron Group on Facebook. Everybody's coming in there now, and I even understand Andrew Starkowitz is part of this group.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of good information going on there, a lot of good people, a lot of connection going on, and it's the time of the year when all inspiration and motivation and things like that matter. So come on, make some new friends, set up some new connections to meet at the races, and that's kind of what's going on there a lot too. Is people are meeting from in their own neighborhoods and deciding they're going to meet at the races and have a good summer. So,
yeah.
CrushingIron.com. We have coaching information there, including pricing. We have camp information, which is selling out quickly. We have gear, pictures of the new hats and visors that you can order.
Mm-hmm.
All that other stuff.
Wow.
C26_triathlon is our Instagram. Crushing Iron at Twitter.
And you can follow Mike on Tinder and Snapchat at Mike Tarrolly.
Yep. And if you want to... Yeah, I'm going to need some of that, by the way.
Yeah, I can't help you out with that. I used to think Tinder was a currency exchange, so I'm out. You have to ask somebody. I'm sure Erica Drakowski, if she's listening, she probably can help you out with that.
Oh, Erica, thank you.
And we won't talk to you again, so everybody have a good Christmas.
Yeah, we will.
Well, they'll hear from us on Christmas Day.
Yeah, we'll have a special Christmas episode.
A special, or probably shorter, but hopefully you can understand. We'll try to give you at least a small break to put your headphones in, disconnect from your in-laws, and hang out with the Crushing Iron guys.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for stopping in.
We'll check you next time.
All right, bye-bye.
See you.